Contract-wise is the second big decisions topic. And on this, Liverpool have got plenty of contracts to sort. I keep seeing this, that Salah, Virgil van Dijk, done. Brilliant news. Good news, as Arne Slot said. A big summer started. Of course it is. However, let's not get carried away. There's plenty of players with a year or two left to go. Plenty of players who we're talking to are existing players that we're trying to sort. I mean, the Luis Diaz one is a bit of a conundrum, isn't it? Is that real? I'm not trying to doubt the source, but it comes from, it's Colombia, and a lot of suggestions that it's from Diaz's camp more than anything, leaking that to engineer things. But yeah, there is a question mark around Luis Diaz. Discussed that the other day, so that's actually not the one I'm going to get into too much. The first one is the importance of Ibrahima Konaté. And he tweeted, didn't he, or put a comment on Trent's Instagram saying it's a big L. Well, I tell you what, will be a massive, ginormous big L is if Ibu leaves this summer. Said it on numerous shows about, we've seen the reports on Dean Huijsen. And I'm just a little nervous on that is starting to have the feeling if it does happen, it's an Ibu replacement. It's more important to renew Ibu than it is to sign Dean Huijsen. Yes, we want both. Of course we want both. And I've done it before, and I don't know if people listen or read or whatever on FB Ref. Huijsen has a ginormous ceiling, such potential. You've seen it already with your eyes, and it would be such a useful addition. But it's not a great... It's not a great scenario if he's coming in to replace Ibu. I think that's a massive L. I really do, across the board. So we've got to get that one sorted straight away. And also when you look at other contracts, Robbo, I'm not touching that one at all. We all know what we think of that one. Ibu's got a year left. Then you're moving into the 2 years. Alisson apparently does have, or the club have, an option of the year. So we could do that to 2028. And I was really heartened by that Taffarel interview the other day. So that made me excited. There's no worry around that. In fact, I'm going to skip right the way down because I think most are, people have got strong opinions on. But it's these two players, just to call out, Conor Bradley and Curtis Jones. And I think it's important in terms of the conundrums we've got just to break these individuals down. Now, Conor Bradley, when I put him on the screen, it's unfair to compare him to Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's unfair to even bring that into the mix. But I'm seeing a lot of, he'll be first choice right back. We're covered there. We'll get and people just saying that. I don't see it that way. I think Liverpool need a first choice right back, or one who's at least the level of Conor Bradley, probably a bit higher, and make him sort of challenge again in that way. And some of you, I can see already, are disagreeing about Conor Bradley. When you look at his stats, I get it. There's a lot of green on his FB Ref profile, and you look at progressive carries, the 98th percentile, touches in the attacking penalty area, 4.69 a game, 99th percentile, the ability to overlap, the ability to underlap. A lot of you like that. I get it. But Conor Bradley isn't Trent Alexander-Arnold. Conor Bradley has had a lot of injury issues in the last year and a half. Really, probably 2 seasons, actually. Because if you think, last season, Jurgen Klopp's final one, he was injured for a long period at the start of the season. It took him a while to work in. So there's that. We've seen all the muscle injuries that have happened recently. Now, in terms of his contract, this is important to say. We mentioned this on the transfer show. He is paid in football terms, not in real world terms, but in football terms, a pittance. It's well known. And Liverpool are looking to get that renewal done. Now, that renewal is now made harder by Trent Alexander-Arnold confirming what he's doing. And also, the way they've dealt with it. Because we said on the transfer show, Conor Bradley has turned down Liverpool's first offer. In fact, it was pretty much laughed at, the first offer that was put to him, because Liverpool are telling Conor Bradley, this is your chance to be their first choice right back, really move up. We know Trent's paid over 200 grand a week. We know Conor Bradley currently is on a pittance in football terms, not real world terms. Let's, be honest on that. So this isn't an easy contract to negotiate in that charge, bearing in mind where Liverpool want to go with this. So this is a bit of a conundrum, this one. Everyone's just got, he'll stay, he'll cut light, and he's a Liverpool fan, all true. But he ain't going to stay for a pittance. And how much is Conor Bradley worth? Trent, the first choice right back, was one of Liverpool's top earners. What level, what amount do you put on Conor Bradley? This is honestly a big one to watch for me. Everyone's just putting this, this will get signed automatically, and it might well do. But don't be sleeping on this one at all. And the second one, he had a stinker the other day. Absolute stinker against Chelsea. But the other Scouser in the team, Curtis Jones. Now, this, again, is not straightforward, because it's well known Curtis is on a low wage, again, in football terms. The other Scouser in the team has only 2 years left to go in the summer. Curtis is also looking at his competition within the team. And it's no secret, is it? Szoboszlai and Alexis McAllister are on big contracts. They came in on very good wages. We know Ryan Gravenberch also came in on good wages. So Curtis is looking at that in terms of, well, I'm one of those four. And listen, you can chat panel's buzzing, in it. You can all debate about whether you feel he's, fourth in ranking, squad player and all this. But for the minutes and the performances, you are talking about a player that's played over 2,000 minutes this season, and at times has got big goals, had a big impact. It again feels like one of those seasons where he's a proper peaks and troughs player, Curtis, isn't it? I think it's fair to say. And maybe it's just a real trough at the moment. But the reason I'm mentioning him as a contract conundrum, so many stats are to like, and look at that. I mean, pass completion, 93%, 99th percentile. He keeps the ball very well. Probably too long, as a lot of people will say, in terms of what development he needs. But as we mentioned on the transfer show, Curtis Jones has turned Liverpool's first offer down. Again, a Liverpool fan. Again, someone who we know wants to stay at the club. But it is not that simple. Because Curtis Jones, you can imagine those conversations as being told, you're Scouser, you've come through our academy, we love you, you're an important part of our midfield. And whether it's, of course, his agent or whoever's saying it, well, that's great. So are you going to put him on parity with the Gravenberchs, the McAllisters, the Szoboszlais? Liverpool won't want to do that. Liverpool won't want to jump his wages from what they are now to those levels, well over 100 grand a week. They're not going to want to do that. But again, Curtis will be arguing, or his agent will look at the homegrown thing, that it's not a big deal as people make out, but I have that. Do you want to, a second Scouser potentially at risk in the team? Other clubs do like him, and I'm an England international as well, so he commands a premium. That also will come into Liverpool's mind as well. Just to be clear, when we've talked about this, everyone has said our contracts are at least sort of sorted. Well, the big ones are. You know what's happening with Virgil. You know what's happening with Mo. You know what's happening with Trent. But the big question marks now, isn't there, about three? Ibu, the priority. Of course it is. We know that how big that is. But all I'm saying is, for these two, don't be sleeping on what's happening with Conor Bradley and Curtis Jones. These need to be sorted, or we know how the suits work. They don't like to go into those final 2 years, ideally. They won't be happy with the situation they've inherited, as we know. They've, a lot for them to sort, a lot for them to do. So just on this one, well, on this 3, just keep an eye on this contract conundrums. This is not done at all. I don't care what anyone says. And I can understand if there's a few nerves around some of these as well, especially Ibou.